What's your take on this debasement debate? It is gaining momentum. It is the hottest investment trend in town. Are you buying into that?
First, thanks, Haslinda. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm buying into it because it's been the most persistent, robust trend, and it's very hard to ignore. As you were just talking about moments ago, it's really primarily an anti-fiat currency movement. That's a function of a lack of trust in a lot of governments around the world that show no ability to curtail spending. They want to run out of control deficits. And so citizens, investors, professional or otherwise, are turning to non-fiat instruments. And then additionally, the backdrop is also occurring around a massive wealth redistribution among age cohorts. Two younger generations, pools of very large savings in developed markets. And those younger generations have a very different preference profile, primarily toward crypto and Bitcoin in particular. But gold's a part of that mix, as is silver. And you're seeing that routinely each and every day in flows.
The thing is, it's still being debated, right? I mean, not everybody's buying into it. You are. But when you take a look at yields, for example, Ruth talked about how yields are trending higher. But if you take a look at the past 3 years, yields have pretty much been range bound. And that does not suggest debasement.
Well, yields have been range bound. Real yields have been quite low. And as a function of that, there has not been a major impediment to shift away from paper or fiat related assets. And so, you may suggest that people aren't buying it as much of a debate, but you can't find a more persistent trend in markets that is away from fiat generally over the last 2 years. And so remember, what you're also dealing with is the savings pool is enormous, absolutely enormous. Just small adjustments or movements in that direction, are very large sums and have a displacement effect on these other assets, which are not particularly deep markets historically.
So just to be sure, the debasement trade does not require higher yields.
No, debasement trade doesn't require higher yields at all. The debasement trade is facilitated by low real yields, but you're seeing the back end of yield curves, particularly in places like the UK and France, which are arguably more problematic than the United States in this regard. But there you're seeing a revolt of investors, by investors, unwilling to hold the long end, despite yields rising. That's not attracting new flows in. It's more of a warning that the back end can become discontinuous or unruly at minimum.
Those who do not believe in the debasement trade also point to the dollar. Yes, we saw, how the dollar dropped in the first half of 2025, but they say it is just the unwinding of the rally that we saw in 2024. What do you say to that?
I think that's largely true. Look, the dollar, if you look back over the last decade, the decade of so-called U.S. exceptionalism, the dollar just received an overwhelming amount of flows. And so just a natural unwinding of that to a degree has been an adjustment downward in the dollar. And while that too may continue, that's been contained around what you might say is just sort of reasonable volatility of that asset class. The bigger trend has been the debasement more broadly, which is out of fiat altogether. The other part of the dollar trade, and this runs counter to the de-dollarization idea, and is the notion of the growth in stable coins, which is effectively dollarizing, much of crypto that isn't in Bitcoin.
So, Adam, when it comes to the dollar, has it turned? Is this a pivotal moment for the currency? Where do you see it go from here?
I don't think it's particularly pivotal. I think it's simply just a pause in a trade that is somewhat advanced over the course of this year. And you can have slight unwind, small waves of adjustment higher in the dollar, but nothing's changing against the backdrop that we just described. And so, other than marginal position adjustment, the underlying forces that are pushing this trade, pushing the reallocation, are in place. And so you will see somewhat further de-dollarization, but I suspect the most persistent trend remains debasement and out of fiat currencies looking for alternatives.